This is the Mike Schmidt Podcasting Network.
I'm not making any money talking these days. Good Christ. I'm a dick, folks. I'm not going to lie to you. Still am. I guess I am a decent guy because I'm a fucking jerk. And I'm not a jerk. Apparently I'm a dick. I'm not an awful guy, but I've done so much ridiculous stuff. I'm an awful guy. Hey, what's happening? Mike Schmidt, 40-year-old boy podcast. I'm getting weird producer signals from my friend Lily, who just told me of her shady past as a producer. I didn't realize how famous this woman was. She apparently... Well, are you crushing my head? Is that what you're doing? Oh, she's crushing my head. I thought that was a producer signal, folks. I thought there was some sort of, tone it down, scale it down, bring your voice down. No, she was crushing my head like the kids in the hall. Fantastic. I saw them live. They were great. Back when I had money, and I was like, hey, man, I'll go do everything. And I was just fucking throwing cash in the air and getting tickets. And now I have Pee Wee Herman tickets, and literally I stare at them and go, that was a wrong investment. What are you doing? That's a third. No, that's, let me do the math on this, folks. Stick around. Hold on. That's about 1/4 of a car payment, the Pee Wee Herman tickets. Yeah, that's what they look like. They're not tickets to a magical wonderland of my childhood and Pee Wee Herman. They are 1/4 of a car payment. That's where I'm at now as a 42-year-old man. I'm old, dude. I'm old, but you know what? I'm enjoying. You know how old I am, folks? Here's how old I am. I'm wearing long underwear right now. That's how old I am. How does that grab you? It's something I would never dream of doing ever as a youth. I didn't even wear underwear as a youth. Suck on that image for a while, folks. Yeah, that's right. Freeballing constantly for like 12 years. And then moved casually into the boxer briefs. Thought that would be a good move. And now long underwear because it's cold out and because I'm old. But I love them. I can't stop wearing long underwear. And I only have one pair and I'll wash it and wear it right away. And I have to go get more. I told Karen we got to get more long underwear. And she was like, oh, okay. It was like the most grown-up thing ever that we've ever talked about. I was like, we need to pick up more long underwear. She's like, all right, we'll go to Walmart and do that. And in my head, I just went, wow, I'm Iowa. That's who I am. When did I turn into Iowa? How the fuck did that happen? But I can't help it. I love long underwear because of they're warm and then they're under your pants. You're like, oh, you can I can kind of feel them they're still there under my jeans. But also, and this is going to sound weird, I guess, but maybe not. It feels like I'm Spider-Man. Does that make sense to you? Like I have a suit under my suit. Like I have long clothes under my clothes. So if anything happened, and God forbid something happened to my pants, boom, I'm in costume. I'm ready to go. I'm fucking Spider-Man. So I actually call them my Spider-Man pants. I'll be like, and I'll say to Karen, hey, did you wash my Spider-Man pants? Because it's her job, apparently, to wash everything. Because God knows I don't know how to use a washing machine, which is 9 steps from my fucking front door. How weak is that, folks? But yeah, I'll be like, hey, and so I'll put them on and I'll run outside and I did this the other day when I put them on for the first time of the year, and I did a little parade through my house with them on. That's right. And Karen looked at me and she's just like, oh, it's that time of year. And I said, it's time for Spider-Man pants. That's right. And then I did a little back and forth. I was very much like Max in Where the Wild Things Are. I did my rumpus dance and then I went and I got dressed. That's what I did. And now I can't stop wearing them. God damn, I love them. Eventually, it's just going to be, I'm old and I'm giving way gradually to being old. Pretty soon you're going to find me wearing long underwear, listening to The Shadow on the radio, smoking a pipe and reading a map. That's what I'm going to be doing. Like, reading a map. Who the fuck reads maps? Old people. That's who. Maps exist for nobody but old people. But yet I would sit there. I'm sure I would unfold one, and I'd be like, oh, this is interesting. There's the equator. That's what happens when you're old, folks. You put on your Spider-Man pants, you casually smoke a pipe, and you read a map while you're listening to The Shadow on the radio. That's how it works. So that day is a long... Because already I love old-time radio, and I love my Spider-Man pants. All I need to do is find a map and a pipe. That's it. All I need to do is find a map and a pipe. That's the name of the show. All I need to do is find a map and a pipe. And that's the 7th time I've said that tonight, folks, because I keep stopping right at this point. When you hear the show, this is the part where I keep stopping going, I can't do a show this week because I have nothing to talk about. It's terrible. I'm in my own fucking head about it, and I can't get past it. I thought I could, and I keep stopping. We just took out, what did we take out, 4 minutes? 4 or 5 minutes of the show?
Total, about 27.
27 seems high. Are you kidding me? If I had 27 minutes, I would have just left it in on general principle just because I was half done. I would have been like, and by half done, I mean, of course, a third done, because this fucking show's an hour and a half every week, even if I wanted to be or not. Why? What is wrong with me? I can't stop talking. And yet this week, it's like, I just talked for like 4 minutes and went, I got to stop. Take it all out. It's not funny. Because it wasn't funny. Because I thought last week's show was so fucking funny, and I'm in my head about topping it. I don't know why. I don't have to top it. Just be funny. Be funny week to week. That's all you got to do for people. That's what people want, is a show that's entertaining week to week. That's all people care about. They're all nice and friendly and supportive, right? Aren't they? I don't know if they are. But I get in my own fucking head about it, like, where I don't know. I'm like, dude, I got to go in and be great again. And I don't know. And even though in the past I haven't been great week to week, yet now I'm like, all right, you know what? Show 33 was it. That's the launching pad for a run of great shows. And then I get in here for show 34, Walter Payton, and I just sit here and stare at the fucking sheets, and I'm like, God damn it, I don't know what's happening. I talked to Karen this morning. I'm like, I got to do my podcast today. She's like, what are you going to talk about? I said, honestly, I don't know. Because I usually don't know, but I have a general idea because I've done something that week that I can talk about. And Karen's like, well, what happened in the news this week? I go, I don't talk about the news. That would be, nobody wants to. And she goes, well, did you talk about that shooting? Yes, that's what I want to do. I want to bring up that shooting because I'm sure everybody wants to hear my take on it. Hey, you know that jackass who pushed the Dracula button a couple of weeks ago and ran away from his neighbors? Why don't we go ahead and have that guy talk about what happened at Fort Hood? I think we really need to hear what he seems to think about what's going on with the military and the possible 9/11 connection. I need to know what Mike's take on it is. Nobody gives a fuck about that. And I looked at Karen and I go, what is wrong with you? That truly indicates that she doesn't listen to the show. That she thinks that I would even take 1 second. Because I said to her, I go, because it's way too dangerous to even talk about that. Because nothing is funny about it. Nothing. There's literally nothing funny. There's no angle. There's no, nothing. After the fact, I guess you could kind of go after the, gee, nobody suspected this guy angle. You know what I mean? When you find out what, his connections were and all this. I guess I could probably find funny in this. Folks, I'm pretty talented. I think you know what? Give me some time. I'll find something funny in that. But this morning it certainly didn't seem funny, as Karen was like, why don't you talk about the shooting? Because that's my favorite part. She didn't even say talk about Fort Hood or talk about what happened. She said, why don't you talk about the shooting on a comedy podcast? Like, I would even go ahead and say, you know what? That's a great idea. I'm going to break it down. Schmidt style for everybody. Everybody needs to know about Fort Hood through the prism of Mike Schmidt. Oh, Christ. Why would I even do that? Makes no sense. But, really, when you think about it, no, I can't do that. Again, nothing funny at all about it. Nothing. There will be. Give me 2 weeks. Maybe in 2 weeks I'll come back and find something humorous about it. All I will say this. When you heard that story, and it's a terrible story, we all know that. But did you ever wonder how that guy could squeeze off that many rounds on a military base in Texas? Seriously? There's not one Dude, I've been to Texas, okay? I've been to a steakhouse where a guy's wearing a sidearm. I mean, I don't want to see anybody in that state. They're ready at the drop of I thought that was the whole point. They're ready at the drop of a 10-gallon hat to blow somebody's head off, yet this guy's able to squeeze off this many rounds in that amount of time? And again, I'm sure something happened. I'm sure I missed some key thing where they were like, oh, it was anti-gun day at Fort Hood. I don't know. I missed it. Maybe everybody had checked their weapons to pack their stuff because they were all going to war. Maybe they didn't bring maybe their guns were on a separate plane. I don't know how it works, okay? All I know is the first thing, when I first heard it, they were like, yeah, this guy went crazy in Texas. It was like, that stuff happens in Texas, and everybody's always like, oh, yeah, well, it's because there's people carrying guns in Texas. Well, apparently not enough people are carrying guns in Texas, because you could have turned that into the goddamn OK Corral and put that guy down, right? Well, I said I wasn't going to talk about this. I'm a fucking idiot. God damn it! I'm sure I've pissed people off. I apologize, folks. If you found anything to be angry about in the last 4 minutes, then fine. But again, we took out. If you would have heard the previous 4 minutes that we cut out, it wasn't funny at all. So then, believe me, I'm sure I would have gotten more emails about the unfunny stretch than I will about this fucking stretch. That's a definite. But I did nothing this week to talk about. I started my new oral hygiene regimen. That's been enacted since last week. I got a question, folks. Is flossing supposed to hurt a lot? Like, I mean, a lot? And I mean, and again, not really hurt, because again, I told you I would floss extra hard, kind of, because all right, well, nothing will hurt as much as the first time I ever flossed. It was funny. Last week, the woman's like, "Hey, could you show me how you floss?" Like I was 7 years old or something. So then I showed her, and she's like, "That's really good. I like the up and down, and you've got it, But then she proceeded to show me what I was doing wrong, which I guess is you're supposed to go down to your jawline. Like you're supposed to literally go down to your heart and then scoop it back up to get heart plaque out. I don't know how she planned on me doing that. But I will tell you that, when I was a kid, I was never shown how to do things. Okay, nobody showed me how to shave. And nobody showed me how to floss, because it was my mom and 5 boys, and my mom was busy at La Margarita with an Elvis impersonator, knocking back drinks till 4 in the morning. All right, my mom was very busy with her life, so I was never really shown how to do things. And again, my dad decided not to show me how to shave; he would rather drink. So, and quite frankly, I guess I should be thankful that my dad didn't show me how to shave because he was drunk half the fucking time. How awful would that have been? I would have cut my throat a long time ago. This show would never fucking exist, folks. And then I would have never offended anybody with that passage about Fort Hood. So I guess I'm glad that my dad was not showing me how to shave because, again, he was fucking half in the bag. The only time he went to the bathroom was to get his fucking whiskey out of the toilet tank. So, yeah, that happened. All right, so there's nothing. Really, folks, when you're finding whiskey in the linen closet, your childhood is optimum. So I'm in there. I never learned how to floss or shave, so I had to kind of teach myself to those things. So when I flossed for the first, I would say, 6 months, I flossed side to side instead of up and down on your teeth. So I did it like, how do I explain? I guess I don't know if I'm making sense. Like, all right, you ever see when a stripper, the last move is when she puts her glove like in between her legs and she kind of like bump, ba-da, ba-da, and she like kind of ass flosses, like, that up and down like that. That's how I did my teeth. Like instead of going up and down, I did it as if I was cutting bread, like with a knife. So I had no idea what I was doing. So I mean, I was, what I was doing? I was fucking up my mouth. Is what I was doing. So I was in pain. So I stopped. I just stopped flossing. And this is, my teenage years. I didn't do it. I still brush my teeth, of course. But then I wound up, as I got older, I wound up dating a girl, and yeah, that's right, folks. I started dating a girl. I guess my point is I started dating this woman, and then I'm at her house one day, and we're getting ready, and I'm brushing my teeth and flossing, and I wasn't going to floss. She was flossing, and so I felt like I had to floss because I had to show her that I flossed. You know what I mean? So I pulled a piece of floss out, and I put it in my mouth, and I start sawing into my gums, basically. And she just goes, "Oh, what are you doing?" And which is not good, by the way, when you you don't know how to floss in front of your girlfriend. And I said, "What?" I said, "I'm flossing." She goes, "But why are you sawing? Like, why are you doing it like that? You're supposed to go up and down." I said, "What do you mean?" And so I had to be taught how to floss by a girlfriend. And that probably wasn't good. I don't think for our relationship, as she realized I didn't have basic human functions. Like, I didn't know how to do that. So then ever since then, I'm like, yay! And now I know how to floss. And then whether I choose to floss or not is another thing. But at least I know how to do it. I've got that hip pocketed. So now, like after last week, the regimen is on. So she's like, "You got to floss twice a day," because I already brushed twice a day, and I don't get that. I got to be fucking honest with you folks, because you're supposed to floss in the morning when you wake up and at bedtime. Bedtime, I get. I've been eating all day. Not really, but I mean, I've been eating and then not taking care of it. So I brush my teeth and floss before I go to bed. But I don't understand the flossing right when you get up in the morning, because it's like what have I been? I don't eat my dreams. I mean, I don't know what the. Although, actually, when you really look at it in the big picture, I've probably been trying to do that for the last fucking 20 years. I've been trying to eat my dreams, or any dreams I had are just being pounded under by food. But yeah, I get up in the morning and I actually dread it. Like it's this because it's a 10 to 15 minute procedure of flossing and then brushing and then rinsing. Like I have this new mouthwash that I'm supposed to use, and I've used Listerine in the past as a one-off for scope, but now I have this new stuff that's got like medicine in it or whatever, and it says right on there you're supposed to rinse for 30 seconds, dude. I don't know what maniac is rinsing for 30 fucking seconds. I can't even keep my tongue in my mouth for 30 fucking seconds. But sure enough, I throw that stuff in there, and it's like you're swishing it around, and you're trying to count in your head, and you're swishing, and you're counting, and you're counting, and you're swishing. And then eventually you get to like 16, and you're like, I got to get this out of my fucking mouth. This is horrible. And you spit it out. And you go, fuck, I'm 14 seconds late. That's weak. But I can't go 30 seconds. I can't do it. And then this stuff they gave me is like, it's got medicine in it. So it's not just like a Listerine, but it's got a special bonus, I don't know, fucking chemical. That's how bad my mouth was, folks. I had a monster mouth, so they had to go ahead and give me some medicine stuff. But it says right on the thing, if you swallow it, call the Poison Control Center. What kind of fucking joke is this? Seriously, what kind of sick joke is it where they say, hey, you got to put this in your mouth and swish it around for 30 seconds, but if you swallow it, go immediately to the hospital? That's a trick, right? That's like the American Dental Association just laughing their fucking ass off at people by going, I wonder if they'll do this for 30 seconds for real, and if they swallow even one drop, are they going to go to the emergency room? This is fucking hilarious. You know what? Dentists need an emergency room so they can fucking deal with it. You need to fucking go to a dental emergency room and there's a guy there with like a mirror and a spike, and you walk in and you go, I swallowed the Listerine, and he just laughs. Ha 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 ha. We were kidding. Because there's no way. Why would they give you a product that you put in your mouth and you swish it around, and then if you swallow it, you go to the hospital? That makes no sense, right? This is a cruel joke. This is a fucking cruel joke. God damn you, ADA. American Dental, right? American Dental Association? Yeah, I call them the ADA. I shorten it up for them. So there you go. So I'm on this regimen now, and it's just driving me crazy. And I floss, and then and the flossing, it hurts. I think it hurts because my gums are so fucked up, but they're getting repaired, I suppose. But everything seems to be fine now because I'm not flossing the second. Maybe I do that. That's a good podcast. Just a guy flossing. You just hear like fucking the rope going up and down, or you go side to side. You hear the rope. I don't know what the fuck it is. Floss, glide. I have flex floss. I have glide floss. I get all sorts of different floss in the house, folks. And I've been collecting it since high school and not using it. So now it's time. Here we go. Let's go ahead and bust it out and take care of it. Yeah, so that's happening with my mouth. And it's like, my mouth always feels like it's glowing. Does that make anybody, you understand that? You probably understand what I'm saying. Not glowing from like being clean, but just like throbbing almost. It's that. And also, you know what? Some guy wrote me a note and he's like, oh my God, how bad were your teeth? They weren't that bad. All right. I brushed twice a day. It's just, I didn't floss for 5 years, but I would floss occasionally. I'd floss. I was an occasional flosser. What the fuck? Why am I talking about this again? Nobody cares. It's just because that's what's been predominant for the past week in my head is like taking care of my teeth. And Dr. Oz says you got to floss. Karen tells me Dr. Oz says floss, and then I say, who's Dr. Oz other than the guy I tape for you every day in the bedroom? But I know who he is. He's Doctor. He's Oprah's doctor, right? Yes. Okay, well, it wasn't really. You don't have to answer. That was more rhetorical to them, I guess, because I want them to answer. That's right. I want you folks to answer. And on that vein, if I can hear you, by the way, do not tell me how Mad Men ended. All right, folks? Seriously. I know you want to, but please put a lid on it because we taped Mad Men, and I haven't watched it yet. Here it is Wednesday, and we taped it Sunday, and it was the season finale, and I haven't gotten to see it because Karen and I want to watch it together. So it's like we haven't had time. So then last night, we finally sat down and watched it together, which is Tuesday night. And we're sitting there, and I start it, and we watch the first 5 minutes, and this huge just battalion of sirens goes off outside. And we can hear a ton of sirens, and it won't stop. And Karen's like, what's going on out there? I said, I don't know. What do you care? Seriously, as long as it's not your house, what do you care? And because I'm not curious at all, folks. Again, I'm an old man. I'm in the house in my long johns with a fucking pipe watching Mad Men. That's who I am. I don't care what's going on in the outside world. So more sirens come, and it keeps happening. So I try to watch the show. And then she says, we should go out there. I said, why? What do we gain from going out there? She goes, come on, we should go out there and see what's happening. I think it's happening across the street. I said, so? She goes, well, what if there's a fire across the street? I go, I don't care if everybody fucking dies in the building across the street. Seriously, I don't. I don't know them. I've never known them. I might see them going in and out of their building, but I couldn't care less if they fucking burn to the ground. I want to watch Mad Men, for Christ's sake. Because that's how self-involved and selfish I am, folks. I don't care what's happening. And then I said to her, I go, look, unless it's the zombie attack, I have no interest in what's going on outside. And then she said, well, what if it is the zombie attack? As if that was going to get me out the door. And I said, don't you want to see the show? She goes, well, yeah, but it's a lot of sirens. What's going on outside? Fine, let's go. So I paused it, and as we're walking outside, she goes, did you mean that about not caring if everybody died? And I said, well, it's more hyperbolic to get you to watch Mad Men, but at the same time, yeah, quite frankly, I don't care. I mean, I don't know any of these people, so what the fuck do I care if their building burns to the ground? As long as it's not my building. I don't even know the neighbors in my building. I wouldn't care. Honestly, if my entire building burned to the ground except for my apartment, I probably wouldn't care about that either. So we walk outside. There's 5 fire trucks, ambulance, and the fire truck had its ladder extended onto the building 2 buildings down from us. We had to walk about half a block. And so obviously there was a fire inside the building because then all the water is rushing down in the gutters because they have the fire hose out. And we walk up, and of course there's a million people. So Karen's like, "What's going on?" And they're like, "Oh, it's a fire." Well, I'm glad you got that information. Thank you very much. And as we're standing out there, nothing's happening. Again, I knew nothing was fucking happening. There's water, and we can't even see any flames. There's no screams. I want screams. If I'm going to go outside, there needs to be screams or zombies. Like I said, if there were zombies, fine, because then I could at least fortify the house. But we went out there, nothing's going on. And then the fire engine is there with the ladder extended. So I said, dude, why not climb on the fire engine and climb up the ladder? Because, they're all fighting the fire. I mean, they're like busy doing that. They wouldn't even notice me, and I'll bet I could get onto the roof before they said anything. And so I actually walked over to the fire engine. She goes, "What are you doing?" And I go, "Nothing. I'm okay." So I go over to the fire engine, and I'm trying to find an easy way to get up because the ladder's on the top. Okay, so I have to get on top of the fire engine and then climb up the ladder. So I go around to the other side of the fire engine, and I'm looking for a way to climb up. And a fireman walks up and he goes, "Get away from there." I'm like, "Yes, sir." And I walk around to the other side as he grabbed something off the truck. He grabbed a fan. It was like a portable fan. And he walks off. So as he walks off, I notice that there's like a little step. There's like 5 steps on the side of the truck that I could walk up and get on the ladder. So I take stock of the situation. I kind of look around. There's people, and there's firemen, and there's Karen. She's just looking around. She's checked out because she has just as bad of ADD as me. Like, she walked out and she's like, "Oh, look, there's a fire. Hey, wait, there's grass growing." I mean, she just... I don't even think she remembers that I'm out there with her at this point. So, like I said, I took a lap around the fire truck, and then I get these 5 steps, and in my head I go, well, just do it. Just don't even think about it. Just climb up and then climb up the ladder because they're not going to say anything. What are they going to say? Get down? I mean, fuck, they're fighting a fire. They couldn't care less about it. They're probably happy to get the help. Maybe you should just grab a bucket. You know what? That would have been my cover. If I could have grabbed a bucket of water and then just climbed up, I would have been like, dudes, I'm just trying to help. That would have been perfect. I'm in and everybody's happy because I'm like a volunteer fireman. And then inevitably I wind up going to try to woo Daryl Hannah with Rick Rossovich in the bushes. All right. So, right, Rossovich is in the bushes. I'm in the bushes helping Rossovich get Daryl Hannah. I'm Cyrano in this story, goddammit. Oh, Roxanne. All right, so, so I wanted to be volunteer fireman, but not really. I just wanted to kind of climb up the ladder and see what would happen. So I go to get on the step and climb up the first step, and in my head, all of a sudden, I stop and I go, what the fuck are you doing? Seriously, why are you even thinking about climbing on a fire engine and climbing the ladder to the roof where there's a fire? What is wrong with you, dude? I'm at that point where stuff just sounds interesting, so I'm going to do it, and it's like, dude, you're going to wind up in fucking jail doing stupid shit like that. But I'm like, well, I'm not hurting anybody, and I'm having this debate in my head. It's like, well, it wouldn't hurt anybody if I climbed up on the... Yes, it would. It would hurt you. And then they're trying to fight a fire, but then they're going to get pissed off. Dude, don't even do it. Don't do it. So I didn't. I put one foot on the fire truck and then walked away. I just made myself, and it's probably smarter, I think, that I went ahead and decided not to do that because we would have had to put the show off as I was waiting to get bailed out. But it was right there for me, man. I was like, come on, we've all done that where you just have that weird instinct where you're like, I could do that, probably. What if I just walked up and slugged that cop? And then I could get out of here. And I don't even have anything against cops or that cop in particular, but just that heightens the danger. Because if you just slug a dude, who cares? Then you just get out of there, you punched a dude. But if you punch a cop, well, there you go. That amps it up. So I'm constantly looking around and going, what if I did this? What if I did that? What if I did this? It's like that thing where you're driving and you're like, I could just drive right into the overpass. I mean, I could do that. It's funny, Bill Burr, I was so mad that Bill Burr talked about it on his comedy special because I've talked about it for years, where you're driving and you're on the highway and you just think to yourself, you know what? If I turn the wheel 5 inches, that's it. I mean, I'm on the news, you know what I mean? And everything changes. And then Bill Burr did it. And so I'm not, like I said, I thought of it for years, but Bill Burr did it, and he did it brilliantly on his last special, the Why Do I Do This special. If you haven't seen it, you got to see it. So it's so there you go. So but at the same time, it's something I talked about for years with friends, where I'd just be like, dude, you ever, because I've always lived on that, I don't want to say on the edge. I'm not some punk rock genius, but I mean, it's not like I'm Darby Crash, but I mean, I'm just a guy who's always thought about, man, what if I fucking did that? And sadly, I never ever, did the right things. Instead of going, I would always go, what if I did that? You know what? What if I went and bought $10 worth of tacos instead? And then I fucking chowed those down, and then I fell asleep. So there you go. Then everything passed. So I guess I'm a guy with destructive tendencies, but unfortunately I don't have the wherewithal or the energy to go through with doing them.
Hello, everyone. This is major market terrestrial radio personality Brian Noonan, and you're listening to amateur radio hopeful Mike Schmidt bring you the 40-year-old boy on the Mike Schmidt Podcasting Network.
You're listening to the 40-year-old boy, and later it's the Velvet Rope. Let Big James and Chewy stamp your hands and give you behind-the-scenes access to the hottest clubs in Hollywood.
James, you work that place over on 8th.
The Red Rush.
Yeah, how do you get a gig over there? I can't get in over there.
You can't get in it? Well,
no.
They probably heard about you. You can't fucking get in over there.
Funny. I mean, what the fuck? What do I got to do? Get an invitation or some shit? How did you do it?
I tell you what. Well, you tell Tommy, because they throw me a Tuesday every once in a while. You tell Tommy to talk to me, and I'll get you in there. But I mean, when you get in there, you got to fucking control yourself.
Little Tommy or Big Tommy?
No, Tommy. Little Tommy. Go, little Tommy.
I can't. I punched little Tommy 3 years ago.
And you wonder why you can't get in this fucking club.
I didn't think he would remember.
Little Tommy, you always get one word from Little Tommy. You don't work in this fucking town. I can't believe we're having this fucking conversation.
They told me he had amnesia. I thought I could get away with it.
Amnesia from the punch or amnesia from the fact that he just doesn't want to know your fucking name?
I'm not sure.
They don't care who you know. Back of the line. The Velvet Rope on the Mike Schmidt Podcasting Network.
Fucking amnesia.
So I did not wind up fighting the fire. I should have, but I did not. I just, I thought about the consequences. You can't ever do that, folks. I got to warn you. You can't ever think about the consequences. Actually, you should always think about the consequences. But if you want to do things that you're not supposed to do, you can't ever think about the consequences. So make sure you keep that in mind next time you see a police car running, or the mailman leaves his push cart aside as he goes to do something, and you want to steal everybody's mail. You can't do that. I did that one time when I was a kid, when I was in high school. I don't know why. It just seemed like the thing to do. And I walked up and down a block and took everybody's mail.
What?
Yeah, just one day. Coming home from school, and I went mailbox to mailbox by our townhouses, and I took all the mail out of the mailboxes. And then I threw it down a sewer.
Oh, Christ.
I don't know why. I don't know why it seemed like the thing to do, but for some reason I got off the bus and I decided to do it. And I walked up. Mike Scott lived on Diane, and I lived on Monroe, and so because we lived in Winston Village, and I wound up going to the end of Diane and then up Monroe, and I just took everybody's mail and I threw it in the sewer. Threw it in the like a sewer grate. Not I didn't lift on a manhole because I was 13, but yeah, I just took their mail and then threw it in the sewer. I'm not a good person, folks. I don't. I'm sure there were birthday cards in there. I'm sure there were bills that nobody got. I probably wreaked havoc on a few households, but there were some sale papers in there, so maybe I did a service. Maybe I threw some junk mail out that people didn't want. Why am I telling you this? Nobody wants to know this that I did.
Federal offense.
Yeah, it wasn't good. I was not smart. It was just something. It just seemed like the thing to do at the time, and I literally went and got everybody's mail and threw it away. Just threw it into the sewer. All right. So folks, lock up your mailboxes, I think is what I'm telling you. And I didn't think of the consequences back then. See, if only I had that same impulse now, I would have fought a fire, and this show would be coming to you live from some Burbank jail. That's where I'd be at. My one phone call would be to Lily to record this show. That would have been perfect. I would have said, just put the phone up to the headphones and let me talk. I feel like I've said that before. Maybe I have. I don't know. But I wasn't kidding when I said to Karen, when she's like, let's go outside. Oh, and then I'll tell you this. So we, then we want to go back inside to watch Mad Men. And, but this time it's like too late. Like I had to go somewhere last night. So I said, all right, forget it. And she's like, oh, come on, let's watch it. Don't you want to watch it? I go, no, I wanted to watch it before, but I'm not a person who can watch a show piecemeal. I can't watch 5 minutes and then go outside and fight a fire and then come back in and watch the rest of the show. I want to watch the show from beginning to end, especially a season finale of a show that I'm really tuned into that I love. Because I don't watch enough shows. You know what I mean? I watch like 5 shows, and that's one of them, and I've been really on board with it, so I really wanted to see the season finale. And I said to Karen, no, I have to watch from beginning to end. She goes, well, I have to tell you something. I actually watched the show Sunday while you weren't here. Which made it more evident why she wanted to go out and fight fucking fires and zombies outside. She's seen the goddamn show, so why should she sit in the house and watch? I go, what? She said, yeah, I'm sorry. I was so excited to see it. It was the season finale, and so I had to watch it when you weren't here. I said, well, you know what? You could have fucking told me this, and I would have watched it Monday, and I wouldn't have waited until Tuesday night to see it, and then going outside to fight zombies wouldn't have been a problem because I would have been through with the show. We could have erased it by now. But as it is now, still I haven't been able to see it. So, and she's seen it, so now she's walking around knowing something that I don't. I don't like it, quite frankly. But I hate waiting, and then all of a sudden she drops something. She didn't wait. God, you can't do that, right? It's like when I talk to my friend, I'll talk to Pat all the time, and I go, hey, let's go see this movie. He's like, no, I got to see it with my wife. And I understand that. It was like when I was on the road, same deal, where I couldn't see a certain movie because Karen wanted to see it with me. But you got to tell me if you saw that movie 3 days prior so I can go see the goddamn movie. I'm complaining for no reason, folks. I'm an idiot. But I was serious when I told her I could not care less if the building burned to the ground. I don't know anybody, so what do I care? I'm not a sociopath. I mean, I do have feelings for others, I guess, but at the same time, not enough to make me get out of my house. I guess, I mean, if I heard somebody in trouble, I would go help them. But, I mean, with sirens and stuff like that, I figure it's covered. Okay, I figure they've got it taken care of, and they don't need a volunteer out there. Although when I got out there, that's the first thing I wanted to do was goddamn be a volunteer firefighter. And I don't care if my building burns down either, because I had this happen to me. It just happened today, folks, and I'm leaving my house, okay? And when I walk out of my apartment complex, everybody's windows, everybody has a big picture window, and I've mentioned before that people will look in my picture window when I'm in there, and I had an incident once where I was not dressed, and I had to dive to the ground. It's in year 1. Go ahead and buy it. So this time, I'm leaving, and the thing is, people will walk by and just automatically look in your fucking house. So I try desperately not to look at anybody's house. Okay, I refuse. I will look at my shoe tops. I will look in the sky. I will look anywhere but inside someone's house as I'm walking by because I don't want to be that guy. So I'm walking today as I'm leaving, and there's a window, and I can't help but see it because let's put it this way. I can see the window from a distance, okay, but when I get close to it, I'll look away because I don't want to be the guy looking at somebody's house. But from the distance, I see that they have a baby. And the little baby he's right by the window, like he's getting sunshine on him and he's getting a breeze or whatever he's doing. That's where the little baby's sitting, and he's in his little baby house, and he's looking outside. And I like babies. So I walk up, and I had my keys in my hand. So as I walk through, he's sitting there, and I go, hello, and I shook my keys. And he looked up at me, and I went, hello, and I shook my keys again. And then all of a sudden I hear, what are you doing? And because I'm just looking at the baby, okay? I'm not looking at the whole window. I'm looking at the tiny baby at the foot. And I look up, and I see there's his mom. And she walks over. She goes, what are you doing? And I go, saying hello. And she goes, he's sleeping. And I go, okay. Well, I mean, but he's not. His eyes are open. And he smiled at me. She goes, he was sleeping until you walked up and you shook your keys at him. Like, she wants to fight. It was the weirdest thing. Like, the weirdest. I was being nice to the baby. And I don't know these people. They just moved in like 2 months ago. I don't know anything about them. But she goes, he was sleeping until you started shaking your keys at him. And I said, he's looking right at me. I mean, and I shook my keys because babies like keys. I mean, I thought babies like keys, don't they? And she goes, yeah, but he's sleeping. You'd woke him up with your keys. And I go, look, it's just keys, okay? It's not a gong, for Christ's sake. It's just keys. Which would have been funny, except she's Asian. And I didn't mean gong like, hey, you're Asian and I didn't hit a gong to wake up your baby. All I meant was a loud instrument as opposed to keys, making a nice noise as I'm being nice to a baby. But instead, I got to play the fucking gong card. I wasn't even thinking about it. It's not, believe me, that's not where my mind went. It just went to gong because a gong is a loud instrument. So I go, yeah, it's just keys. It's not a gong. And the second it came out, I'm like, oh, no, this is going to be a problem now. And she just looked at me, and she didn't say anything, and she just stared at me. And I'm looking at her. And I just went, sorry. And I shook the keys. And I walked away. Because I had to shake them one more time, right? I got to do that. Because I've got to ensure that it's uncomfortable every time I see this fucking woman from this point on. As if it wasn't anywhere from the fact that I said gong. I didn't mean gong. Asian lady gong. Oh, dummy. All right. So if my building burns down, I don't care at all. Every bad thing in the world can happen to these people. That's fine with me. Seriously, I don't. And believe me, I recognize that's my fault. That's my problem. Because again, maybe she really wanted her baby to sleep. It doesn't mean just because I want to be nice to a baby that I get to be nice to a baby and nobody can be mad at me for it, right? Because I've done that before. I think I told the story in year 1. Maybe I did or maybe I didn't. I was in the grocery store one time. And there was a baby in a cart. And he's sitting in the little cart, and he was like a 2-year-old. He wasn't a baby. He could have been 9. I don't fucking know how old he was, but he's sitting in the cart, and I walked by, and he looked at me, and he smiled. And so when I walked by him, I tapped him on the head, and I went boop, and he laughed, and then his mom wheeled on me and goes, "What are you doing?" I said, "What? What are you talking about?" And she goes, "What are you doing? Did you just touch my son? Did you?" And now there's people around in a grocery store, and she says that I touched her son, which that's not a good sentence to be on the other end of, folks. That's never good to be accused of something like that. And I said, I tapped him on the head. He was laughing, so I tapped him on the head. She goes, "You don't touch my son. You don't put your hands on my son." And like the grocery store employees start coming over now, and the manager, and I'm like, "Dude, what the?" And she goes, "He walked by and he put his hands on my son." And I said, He waved at me and smiled, so I booped him on the head. He's a kid. I mean, what do you want? And immediately, though, it doesn't matter because they're all getting their torches. They're all, and this is like, Christ, 7 years ago, 8 years ago, easy. It's a long time ago. And because if it was now, forget about it. I mean, every iPhone in the world would have taken my picture, and I would have been on the internet as a kid toucher. It would have happened like in seconds. Thank God it wasn't, instant internet back then. But I wasn't doing anything. So now I guess I should have learned my lesson, not shaking the keys at the baby, because I don't engage kids, and it's a shame because I love kids. Like I would love to, be nice to kids and smile and shake their hands and give them a high five and all that stuff you do with kids when you see them. But now, fuck that. I walk away. I run. When I see a child, I run the other way because the last thing you want to be accused of at all is interfering in somebody's with kids. And so I guess today I figured there was a screen between us, so I wasn't going to get in any real trouble for shaking my keys at the kid. But apparently, Gypsy Rose Lee decided to step in and have a fucking hard time with it. It's not her fault. Again, it's not her fault. I recognize that. It's my fault. What the fuck are you doing shaking your keys at a baby, you idiot? I don't do good with people, folks. I don't do good in stores, apparently, with people. We were in 7-Eleven. All right, Karen and I, look, I got to tell you something. I don't do well with homeless people. Let's put it that way. Let's narrow it down. Not just people. I don't do well with homeless people, and here's why. Or here's an example. Not here's why. Here's why we'd have to take hours to analyze why I don't do well with homeless people. But if you look at it in a larger spectrum, here's an example of said behavior. God damn it! I'm freaking, what happened to me? We went to 7-Eleven, and there's a homeless guy outside. And I always tell Karen, I'm like, look, just lock your doors. All right, you're not coming in. Lock your doors and don't talk to anybody. Because we had an instance once where I told this story where a guy tried to get cigarettes from Karen and she went to give him one and he reached into the car and I ran outside and had to put on the Christian Bale Batman voice to get him away from the fucking car. I'm inside the store and I'm like, yeah, I'll take 2 of these. And then I'm outside and I'm like, get away from the car. Like it was just this horrible, ton of bass in my voice to chase a guy away. So we pull up and I'm like, look, just lock your doors. So there's this homeless dude outside, and he's all shaky and dirty and grubby, and any other word you could think of for dirty. Apparently grubby. I had to go further than dirty, and I had to go with grubby. And he's just one of those guys wearing one shoe. You know what I mean? He was just bad, and his head was shaking, and he had like drool on his mouth. Oh, dude, he was the complete package. So I walked to go into the walk-in store, and he's like, hey, can I get some change, sir? And I said what I always say, can't help you today, sir. And then they're like, God bless, of course, because they want Jesus to help me. And I go, hey, you need to ask God to bless you, quite frankly, because I'm doing a little bit better than you are. Nice of you to wish him on me, but go ahead and get him in your corner first, and then you can go ahead and start sharing God with the public at large. Because let's make sure he takes care of ground zero, and then you can go ahead and get the rest of the city. So I walk inside, and I'm looking for stuff to buy. And then Karen magically appears in the store. She's decided that she doesn't want to sit in the car, so she comes in the store with me. And she's like, what are you looking for? I'm oh, Christ, I don't know what I'm looking for. She goes, what about this? What about this? And I'm like, okay, because it's fun. I like going to the store with Karen. Sometimes we'll just go to Walgreens and look around. I don't know why, but that's who we are. We're people who like to go to the store. So she popped out of the car. We're in 7-Eleven. And she goes and puts some stuff on the counter, and she walks away. And now the homeless guy comes in, and he just kind of, that weird. You ever try to walk with one shoe on and one shoe off? Solomon Grundy, did he have that? I don't know if he did, but so he's walking. He's kind of like that weird, he's changing levels, shoe foot, no foot, shoe foot, no shoe foot, and he's limping around. It just looks crazy, and he's drooling. Oh, it's just not good. So he starts picking stuff off the counter, and he buys 2 bags of peanuts. and a bottle of water. So at least he's not buying booze, I guess. That's my thinking. So he puts his stuff down on the counter, and then he goes to look for something else. And I look at the counter guy, and I go, I'll get this. And he goes, what? And I go, I'll take care of that. And he goes, oh, you'll pay, sir? Okay, you'll pay. And so the homeless guy walks back up, and he puts another bottle of water on the counter, and he grabbed a candy bar, I think. And he throws that down. I couldn't see it. It was something brightly colored. I don't know what it might have been. Cold medicine. I have no idea what it was. But in my head, I'm like, don't tell the homeless guy I'm paying, because then eventually, what if he goes around and he buys everything? Gets 9 hot dogs? I mean, I don't want that to happen. I don't want to buy out the whole fucking store for homeless Joe. So, I mean, I'm trying to be charitable and nice, but at the same time, I want it to be, after he gets all of his stuff on the countertop, I want him to tell him, oh, don't worry, this is, like, bag it, like, ring it up and then bag it and then go, don't worry, that gentleman's paying. But instead, sure enough, the guy comes over and he puts this candy bar down, and the guy goes, he is paying, sir. So the homeless guy looks at me and says, is it okay if I get a hot dog? And now I'm his dad. Now I'm his fucking dad. I don't want to be his dad. I was trying to do a nice thing in secret. Like I was, I wanted to slip an envelope casually and kind of wink and let the guy walk out. I wanted him to say to him, hey, sir, an admirer is paying your bill. Anything. Don't involve me. That's the whole point. That's why I made it a surreptitious wink. That's why I looked at you and was just like, I got this, like whispering. I didn't walk up and put my arm around the guy and go, ha ha, I'm with Drooly here. His tab's on me. That didn't happen. But sure enough, he looks at me and he goes, can I get a hot dog, sir? And I go, yes, you can get a hot dog as long as you promise not to talk to me anymore. I mean, it was just like horrible. I'm just like, yeah, no problem. So he gives him a hot dog, and then he says, and then he gets taquitos. There's like taquitos on the thing, and he asks for 2 taquitos too. And I go, yes, that's fine. It's fine. So now he's getting 2 bottles of water, 2 bags of peanuts, a taquitos, and 2 taquitos, and a hot dog, and a candy bar. So now we're in my 7-Eleven. This could be double digits. I have no fucking idea where we're at now. And this guy's lucky that Karen is with me, because otherwise I would have been in and out of the store. But Karen is still shopping at 7-Eleven. She's like looking at brightly colored packages and smiling and walking around as bluebirds, comb her hair. That's what she does. And meanwhile, I'm knee deep in saving. I'm opening a mission by the register. That's what I'm doing. So he asked me if he can get taquitos. I said, yeah. So the guy brings it all over, and he rings it all up for the guy. And again, drooling and he's just filthy. And he says, thank you very much. And I go, no problem. And he goes, thank you. And he comes over to me, and he reaches his hand out to shake my hand. Now, I don't even want to talk to this guy, let alone touch him in any way. And so I don't want to dehumanize him by saying that I can't, you know what I mean? I don't want to be that guy. Even because now, like I said, now I'm his best friend. I mean, I just bought him taquitos and all this stuff, and we're old pals. We go back, and so I have to shake his hand. I have to. There's nothing I can do. And again, drooling, filthy, one shoe on, and like gnarled toenails. I mean, he's not just he's not homeless for a couple of days. This guy, it might be a career move for him. Okay, like his address is the great outdoors. That's where this guy lives. He's got a bike with like 9 busted spokes. He's that guy. Okay, and the guy bags up his stuff and he puts out his hand to me. And I reach out and I shake his hand, and his hand is every bit as grainy and sticky as you would think that it was going to be. It was like sticking your hand in a bowl of honey and sand. I mean, it was so horrible. All right, I don't know how long he's been homeless, okay? But apparently he's hip to the greetings of today. Does that make any sense to you? Because he went in for the bro hug. He went in for the fucking bro hug. Oh, Christ, no, I didn't want to touch your hand. Don't try to put me in a warm embrace. Enjoy your taquitos and leave me alone. Good Christ. And but no, sure enough, man, I reached out, I grabbed his hand, and then he kind of pulled me toward him. And I'm like, oh no, this isn't happening. And then he gives me like the bro hug, and I didn't hug him back because I didn't want to wind up with my hand stuck to his back. I didn't want that to happen. But he puts his hand and he says into my ear, he's just like, "Thank you very much. God bless you." But of course it's more like, "Thank you very much, God bless," because there's drool all over his fucking mouth. And now I'm like, oh, that's gonna get in my ear. I'm getting a wet willy from Wet Willie. That's what I'm had. So horrible. So he gives me the fucking handshake, and I'm still thinking about the texture of his hand, and then he goes in for the bro hug, and before I even know it, he's hugging me, and my favorite part of it is thinking of Karen just turning around and seeing me hugging the homeless guy at the register, and just going, what is happening over there? But instead, I back off, and let's put it this way, his hand is so sticky, it actually made like a Velcro noise when I pulled it away, like it made I'm surprised there weren't strands like between our two hands. He was just that filthy. I almost wanted to buy him soap at that point. And so I gave him the bro hug and he went to leave. And so now Karen walks up and she's like, "What happened?" I bought his stuff and then he wanted to be nice and say thanks. And so he shook my hand and then he wound up hugging me. And she's like, "Oh, okay, well, let's get out of here." And she went to buy her stuff. And I said, "We have to leave." And she goes, "Well, I know, but let's pay for our stuff." And I go, "I can't touch anything with this hand." She's like, "What?" And I go, I can't, because I was paying. And I go, "You know what? You need to get my wallet out." Now I'm holding my hand as if it's like this alien part of my body. I'm holding my wrist, and I'm holding it away from me as if it's trying to stick itself to my face, like the alien. And I'm trying to keep it as far away from my body as possible, even though I've already got, I'm sure I have the pig pen swirls around me anyway from getting hugged by this guy. And it was just, I felt so bad feeling that way, but it doesn't matter. My hand was so disgusting. Karen had to get my wallet out. I made her get my wallet out, run my card. I made her sign my name on my card. And I said, "We got to go. We need to go now." And then she's like, "All right." And I looked at the 7-Eleven. I go, "Wait a minute." I go, "You guys have a sink, right?" And he goes, "Bathroom not for customers." I go, "Dude, you saw what just happened. I have to wash my hand." And he goes, "No, I'm sorry. Bathroom not for customers." I go, "There's a sink over here." Because there's a sink in all the 7-Elevens where because they make coffee. So there has to be a sink right there. I go, "Dude, let me just come behind the counter and wash my hand." He goes, "You can't come behind the counter." And I go like, "You just saw this. My hand, you know what?" And I thought about grabbing him with it. Like I was going to grab his hand and go, "See?" Like I went to reach out and then I'm like, "Get out of here, dude." Because now you're assaulting a guy and, whether he deserves it or not, quite frankly. And I think we can all agree that he does deserve it. You won't let me wash my hand? I mean, Jesus Christ. I have like homeless leprosy. Let me put it on something. Get it. I got to get it off me. So now I kind of rush Karen. I go, "Look, we got to get home." And she wanted to stop and get a pack of cigarettes because Karen does not get cigarettes at 7-Eleven. She can only get her brand of cigarettes at a different store. And I went, "Look, you got to go home. We have to go home now." I was looking for a puddle to jam it in. Christ, if I could have siphoned gas and poured it on there, because that would have done something to at least cleanse the wounds that were opening, no doubt. Invisible. I can't see them, but I know that they're there from that fucking homeless guy because every horrible place he's ever slept, every bit of change he's ever gotten, every dollar bill he's ever picked out of a gutter. Oh my Christ, it's all over my hand now. So I said, "We got to go home." So now and the thing is, I can't open the door. Like I have to do everything left-handed now because my right hand is completely infected. I felt like 28 days later, I swear to God. So I opened the door and I get in and I slammed the door with my left hand and I opened the window. I hung my hand out the window on the way home, which is even worse because then it dried like the stickiness. So then I had like a varnish on my hand. Oh, fuck, it was terrible. And then I should tell you this, when we walked outside, this homeless guy, he set upon that food outside like a jackal. Like, I mean, he was crouched down in a catcher's crouch, just eating. You ever seen anybody eat a hot dog with two hands? I never did until that day. Like, I mean, you can. I mean, you've seen people like hold a hot dog and they pick it up and kind of do that. He was holding it like it was corn on the cob or something. I would. What do you hold like this? Like, you know how you hold a sandwich with two hands? Imagine holding a hot dog like that and just biting the hot dog in the middle. That's what he was doing. I mean, it was horrible. Like, I wanted to get away because I didn't know if he was still eating the hot dog I bought or if somehow he had found a stray cat and he was tearing out the fucking belly with his teeth. I mean, and again, he lives in the street. Why should I judge this guy? I mean, it's terrible. I mean, he's got no shoe and, I wanted to buy him a bunch of stuff, but it turns out I did, quite frankly, because by the way, when I left, my bill was like $16 at 7-Eleven because he got two 2 taquitos. He got 2 hot dogs. It was crazy. So my hand is out the window, and the fucking breeze is blowing it. We get to the house, and I'm trying desperately to open the door and not touch anything, and I just turned the water on as hot as it would go, and I just jammed my hand in, and my sleeve. Because I had my other sweater on, and I jammed all of it, sleeve and hand, right under the hot water. And I didn't even put soap on it first because I wanted to make sure it had a nice hot water bath first, and then I put soap on. I actually washed my hand like 4 different times. Like I just kept scrubbing it because I don't know if I was just getting not just the filth, but also I was also trying to wash away the bad feeling I had in my head about being so prejudiced and horrible about this. But at the same time, dude, don't touch my fucking hand if you live in the street. I shouldn't feel that bad about it. I guess I shouldn't, but at the same time I should. He's a human being just like everybody else, but dude, I bought you taquitos. I don't need you to come up or impress the flesh. Seriously, enjoy your taquitos. Go outside and rampage through your... He looked like a zombie. As I talk about the zombies, he's just crouched down like a zombie eating brains out of a head. He's just like, just like, you can actually hear him. Oh, God. And his bike was like upside down, so he was trying to fix his tire. Just a terrible, terrible situation. And he cost me $15. Great. But I got home and I fucking soaked and then I immediately took my thing to the dry cleaner the next day. Like, I'm so stupid. He didn't do anything. He didn't infect me. There's no lice or any, but I guess maybe I'm thinking now I'm predestined to be homeless. Now I'm going to be homeless because of that guy's touch. He's transferred homeless to me. That's what he did. He went ahead and he gave me homeless. It's like when you're it, I'm it. Folks, I'm it. And now I got to find somebody else to make it. So if you see me, don't shake my hand because fucking you're going to be it.
So guess what? We're getting ready for the wedding the other day, right? Mm-hmm. I'm in the house. My wife's in the room. All of a sudden, she just starts screaming and freaking out. I don't know what's happening, okay? Mm-hmm. So I go upstairs. There's like 100 doves flying all over the upstairs of my house. Dude. My wife's babbling. Apparently, all of her shoes are gone. So I go into the closet. I look. Sure enough, her shoes are gone. And the ass is cut out of every pair of pants in the house.
What?
Dude, Prince stole all of my wife's shoes.
Prince is comfortable in women's footwear.
Prince is a dick.
And now back to the 40-year-old boy. Already in progress.
My hand doesn't feel clean now. I'm not going to lie. I just fucking, it was so gritty. Like I can still feel it. Oh, it's like the first time you try sushi or you have a different texture. I will remember that texture the rest of my life. And the next time I feel it, it will not be good. And that will be bad. That'll be the death of me, folks. Quite frankly, that'll be the death of me. Unless I wind up just homeless and hanging out with that dude. Then we'll have to get a homeless bike built for 2 and drive around and try to panhandle. That'll be awesome. Oh. Yeah, a little tandem homeless guy. That's good. That's a good plan. They got a plan together. They ride their bike. But then you got to split all the dough. But what do you care? You don't have any overhead. You're just sharing taquitos. Like you're homeless in the street eating hot dog. You put a hot dog in each end of your mouth. You bite it together. It's like you're like Lady and the Tramp. But instead you're tramping the tramp. There's no lady involved. It's just tramping the tramp. Oh, that's funny. All right. That makes up for the rest of this entire show. That literally makes up for, because I'm in my head about this show. That makes up for all of it. Tramping the tramp. God damn it. Oh, fuck, that's funny. Sadly, this was not my worst experience with a homeless guy at 7-Eleven. There's when we first moved to California in 98, was it? Yeah, I think it was 98. There's a 7-Eleven by my house. This is where all this took place. But then there's another 7-Eleven that's like 1.5 miles from my house that might as well be in Beirut. Just the complete difference of it is you'll go there. It was the one that used to have like 3 payphones outside, and there'd be like 5 guys always at all hours of the night hanging around the payphones. Gee, I wonder what they were doing. I'm sure they weren't waiting for their mom to call. So they'd be hanging out, and Lily's actually been to this 7-Eleven with me. We stopped on the way out of town once. It was where you and Karen bought hot dogs. It was the one, it's right by, yes. I don't want to say where it is. But even during the day, that day we were there, like 6 homeless people walked in. 6. Again, en masse. That's tramping the tramp and the tramp and the tramp and the tramp and the tramp. And they come walking in once. It was like a homeless football team out of nowhere, a hoops team. So, but one time anyway, I'm at that 7-Eleven. And it was, I had stopped there. I was coming home from bouncing. So this is 98. I think it was 97, 98. And I stopped there because this is when I was eating hot dogs. Because, folks, when you're the fattest man in the world, you have to eat hot dogs at 3 in the morning. So I would stop there because they would always cook them because I knew they were busy all the time. So they had people all the time. So they were constantly cooking taquitos and hot dogs because they were always selling them. Other places, they'll put hot dogs on at 4 o'clock in the afternoon and then not change them. And by the time you walk in, it looks like a burn victim's cock. I mean, it's just like completely fucking shriveled and black. And you're like, I don't think I'm going to eat that ever. But these guys, forget about it. Fresh. It was like a banquet. It was a 7-Eleven banquet. So I pull up. And it's like I said, it's busy out. There's guys by the payphone, and there's a homeless guy out front, and he's just sitting there, and he's filthy. He's wearing flip-flops and jeans and a button-down shirt that's open. So he's I mean, he looked very casual, and he's completely filthy, matted hair, like dreadlocks but he doesn't know it. Let's put that guy he had dreadlocks, but he had no idea that he had them. He looked like your cat after you haven't brushed him for 6 months. I mean, he just looked bad. So we get out of the car, I get out of the car, and he looks at me, and he doesn't even, a lot of guys are like, excuse me, sir, can you help me out over? I go to walk in, he just goes, change. And I don't know if he's trying to get some from me, or if he's just hoping to say it out loud and it will magically happen to him. I have no idea what he's thinking, but I just looked, and I said again, I'm sorry, I can't help you today, sir. And I walked in, and I heard him, and he goes, fuck you. Well, great. Thank you. That's a little different from God bless, which I usually get from the homeless guys, but I'm sure the sentiment was just as heartfelt. So I go in, and I walk over, and I grab a chocolate milk, and I grab pecan twists, because at this time I was reliving in Tahoe. I used to stop every day on the way home from bouncing, and I would get pecan twists, and I would make a microwave burrito, and I would get chocolate milk. Well, this time I go hot dog, pecan twist, chocolate milk. So, there's a couple other people in the store, and the guy behind the counter is, he's got a turban. I mean, he's a straight-up Indian guy, a heavy accent, as you know when you go into 7-Elevens. So I go to put my stuff on the countertop, and I go, hey, can I get a couple of hot dogs? And he's like, oh, sure. And he goes over, and he's very friendly. He bags my hot dogs. He puts them on the counter. And as he puts them down, I hear someone go, oh, my God, which is never good to hear in a 7-Eleven. And I hear someone say, oh, my God, and we look outside, and the homeless guy is there completely naked. He has now shed his casual garb, his flip-flops, and his jeans, and his button-down shirt, and he's naked, and he's crouched like he's going to jump at the door, he's going to leapfrog. He's facing the door, but he's crouched down, like I said, like a catcher, just like the other guy was as he tore through his hot dog. But this guy is naked, crouched down. And his clothes are just in a pile, like his shirt is on the garbage can, and his jeans are on the ground, and his flip-flops. I mean, he looks like Charlie Brown after someone hit a line drive at him, because it's like he went ass up and everything just came off, like his pants and his shirt and his shoes, and now he's naked in a crouch. Not that Charlie Brown was ever naked in a crouch. I don't think that Peanuts ever came out. But you know what I mean. When Charlie Brown would get the line drive and he'd go, and then all of his clothes would come off. So this lady says, oh my God, and we see naked guy, and he crouches down, and he's crouched down when we see him, and then he stands up, and bing bong, he just walks in to 7-Eleven completely naked. And I'm just like, oh no, because again, I'm frosty from bouncing, and I also have this weird thing where I need to get involved in everything. Like Karen is that way, where she wants to kind of help people, but I always want to just kind of jam. You know what I mean? Like I always have this weird buzzing where I'm like, all right, well shit's going down, and I need to be involved in it. But when I see naked, dirty, filthy, fucking homeless guy walk in, I get frosty, like, because I'm ready for anything, but I am not ready for anything. I got to be honest. I don't know what's going to happen. All I know is this naked guy just comes wandering in, and we're frozen. Like, I don't know what the fuck to do. And he just wanders in kind of naked. And the fucking, the counter guy, the Indian guy with the turban, he picks up a broom. And he goes, you get out. We told you before, you get out. He just starts yelling, shaking the broom like he's chasing a raccoon off of his porch. So I mean, but that's how it is in the city, or when you're used to dealing with that kind of thing, that's who you become. You don't see the human being, you don't see the tragedy of it. You're just like, get the fuck out of here. You can't be naked in my store. You know what I mean? So I fully understand it, but again, it's all happening so quick. He's got the broom. You get out right now. And again, he's chasing. The guy's not a raccoon. He doesn't have like a bushy tail. He's like a dude. You can't just yell at a dude like he's a raccoon and scare him. So he just keeps walking. The naked guy walks right past me, and I will tell you that I just mentioned that he wasn't a raccoon with a bushy tail. Well, I can tell you that he wasn't a raccoon, but he did have a tail. It wasn't bushy. He's got shit hanging out of his ass. That's what he was doing as he was crouching outside. He was taking a shit in the parking lot. Now, those of you that are astute observers of the show will remember that I told a story in year 1 where a guy took a shit on the floor of my gym. And at that time, I was like, well, should I tell this story with it too? And I was like, nah, yeah, that seems like a lot of shit for one episode. But I've always had this problem. Like, I worked in a video store, and a guy like shit all over the bathroom, and then this guy walks in, and he shambles past me, and he's got a hitchhiker. And he goes wandering, and the reason he comes in, and he's doing that homeless thing where he's like, fuck, rah. He's just talking to himself, completely naked, and the other two people they like retreat to the corner of the store and then they run out the door. They could have stolen everything in the fucking place and we wouldn't have cared, because me and Turbin Wilson are staring at the guy with shit hanging out of his ass as he shambles like a fucking scarecrow into the fucking store. And he's just wandering. He's like, fuck. And he goes over to where the coffee is being made. And I have to be honest with you, I'm marveling at the very physics of the act itself. I don't know, because he's walking crazy, so I don't know if he's clenching to try to keep that there as he walks, or if it's just coming along for the ride, or if he's just so filthy and homeless, it can't leave. Like if it's stuck to him Velcro style. Because again, this is 10 years ago, maybe shaking this guy's hand last week makes me understand that these people are adhesive. Maybe homeless people are just, like they're all the other side of the Scotch tape. That's how they are as a general rule. So maybe things just stick to them. So he's shambling about. He's got this fucking shit tail hanging off of him, and he goes over to the coffee, and I'm like, well, he's not getting coffee. That just seems ludicrous. He's certainly not going to get a cup of coffee at this point, is he? But instead, he takes his filthy hand and he just jams it into the napkins. So it's good to know he at least had that much of a head for hygiene. Oh my God. He needed to wipe. Oh my God. So that's what he's willing to shit in the parking lot in front of everybody, but he's going to make sure that he wipes his ass. So he reaches in and he jams his hand and he just starts ripping napkins. Meanwhile, the turban guy's just going, "You get out, I told you before to get out." And he's just shaking the broom. And part of me wants to see him come around the counter and jack this guy with the fucking broom. And I'm like, look, you know what? You're not going to scare him. Obviously, he's not scared of you. You need to make him scared of you. So hit him with the fucking broom. But it didn't happen. Instead, he's just going, "Come on, you get out." So he grabs the handful of napkins, and then he turns around and he's like, "Fuck," and he walks by, and he just sweeps the creamers onto the floor. There's like a bowl of coffee mates, like little baby creamers. He literally just pushes them on the ground. They go all over the place. Now he's just wreaking havoc, okay? Now he's just, he's got a shit attitude to go with his shit ass, and he's just going ahead and knocking everything over. He grabs all these napkins, and part of me is like, I'm watching it again. I've got hot dogs a coolin'. I need to get the fuck out of there, but I can't leave. These other people ran, but I think it's hysterical. I don't know what's going to fucking happen. I like chaos, folks. I think I've mentioned that. So he's shaking the thing, and now another guy comes out from the cooler, another turban person who's employed by 7-Eleven. He comes out, and he literally goes, "Not again." What? Wait a minute. What do you mean, not again? Do you mean, oh no, I can't believe this guy's back? Or do you mean, oh my God, I can't believe The naked guy with shit hanging off his ass has knocked the creamers onto the floor yet again. Oh, my Lord. I thought that the one time it happened would be more than enough. I can't believe a second time he has visited us with his shit tail swinging and his horrible attitude knocking the creamers onto the ground. Who says not again? Oh, it was fucking great. Not again. I didn't even process it till later. Wait a minute, not again? Does this happen? Is this like, you know what? At 7-Eleven, when I'm there, 10 years later, I tell a story about a homeless guy with shit hanging off his ass. You know what they call it? Friday. Not again. Oh. So he says not again, and now I'm waiting for him to get it like, a mop. I don't know what they're going to do. They're going to chase him out with implements. The other guy's still swinging the broom. This guy comes out and says not again. He's pissed. He knocks the creamers over, and then he goes ahead. He starts shambling toward the door, and I'm waiting to see what he's going to do. I'm leaned back against the counter because I don't want to even touch him or be anywhere near him. Because again, if he touches me, I'm not kidding you, he dies. I don't even think twice about it. Because I had, this is when I was bouncing at the Troubadour. One time I was bouncing at a punk show. I think I told this story on here. And they started gobbing, which means they were spitting at the lead singer. And I walked off the stage. I was supposed to be guarding the stage. I walked off the stage. I went over to my boss, and I looked at him, and I go, listen to me. They're spitting at the lead singer. He goes, yeah, I know. They do that at the punk shows. I go, great. I'm telling you right now, if anybody spits on me, I'm leaping into the crowd, and I do not stop swinging until I'm fucking dead. Seriously. I will not be spit on. I go, I'll fucking quit right now. And he's like, calm down, Mike. I go, fuck, calm down. I'm telling you this right now. If anyone spits on me, they're fucking dying. I will put my fucking arm... You know what? You want to get spit on me? You're going to get spit on my fucking forearm as I jam my fist down into your fucking pancreas because you are fucking going down. And he's just like, all right. Well, so then they moved me to the back because the last thing they need is me punching 9 guys in the mohawk and being in the paper the next day. So I want nothing to do with bodily functions or bodily fluid. I don't want anything on me. So I'm in that. So literally, if this guy comes near me, he's dead. I mean, I will kick his fucking head off of his shoulders. I'm waiting for it to happen. I should have just broken out a hot dog like I was at a ball game because I'm sitting there watching it, and that one dude, when he said not again, it was like gorgeous, and the other guy's waving the fucking broom. So shit ass goes to shamble out the door, and he's like wobbling, and then he reaches behind like to wipe on the run, and he cuts it loose. Just falls right onto the ground right by the door, and then he leaves. Ding dong! You hear the little cheery bell, and he walks outside naked. And when I say he wipes, like he misses everything. All he did was dislodge it, and then kind of like he throws the napkins right on the ground. Like he doesn't. It was just it was a perfect coup de grace for everything that he had just done up to that point. He shambled in, just wreaked havoc, knocked over the creamers, grabbed the napkins, and then cut loose the hitchhiker and walked out. So now I'm standing there. I'm waiting to get rung up for and then they start talking in their native language, like back and forth. I don't know what they're saying. I'm sure it's something along the lines of, "You clean that up." "No, you clean that up." "No, you clean that up." So sure enough, the guy with the broom just comes around. He goes, "One moment, sir." He's still very polite to me. He goes, "One moment, sir. I will ring you up." And he goes over to the door, and he opens the door, and he takes the broom, and he just sweeps all of it. Like the napkins and the fucking hitchhiker, sweeps them right out into the curb in the parking lot, and then closes the door. Bing bong. Goes back around to ring me up. And the other guy is meanwhile getting the mop because he's going to clean the floor. And I'm sitting there, and I'm just thinking to myself, I pay for my stuff. I go out to the car. The homeless guy is gone, and his shirt and flip-flops are gone, but his jeans are still there. So obviously he's wandering the night naked somewhere. And I walk outside, I just see napkins and shit, like in the parking lot of 7-Eleven. And I think to myself, man, that guy, both those guys who run 7-Eleven, they used to live in India. Probably the worst conditions in the poorest slums in the world. And they came to America to carve out a better life for themselves. They went ahead and saved all of their rupees, and they opened a store. a 7-Eleven, just trying to carve out a living so they could go ahead and send some money back to their family, maybe bring them here and hopefully have a college education for all of their children. They want to do everything they possibly can to make a better life for themselves and their friends and their loved ones. And they got to deal with they left India. They left a cesspool in the slums. I'm not saying all of India is bad, but in the poorest areas, it can be very poor and terrible. And yet they come to what is, quite frankly, an affluent area, and they got to deal with a homeless guy shitting on the floor. And it's so when you think about it, that means that for every slumdog millionaire out there, there's a slumdog broom swinger who's got to sweep shit into the parking lot just to try to make a living somewhere where he never thought he'd have to do something like that. You guys can get me at Mike at MikeSchmidtComedy.com. You guys can get me at MySpace.com/MikeSchmidtComedy. You guys can get me at Facebook.com/The40-Year-Old-Boy. And you can follow me on Twitter at Twitter.com/The40-Year-Old-Boy. And you can go ahead and follow, be Lily's friend, Lily Von Stupp's friend at Facebook. That's Facebook.com/Lily Von Stupp. Or you can send Lily an email. Send her an email at Lily@burlesque411.com. That's Lily, Lili, at burlesque411.com.
Hey, what's happening? It's Mike, host of the 40-Year-Old Boy podcast, the show you're listening to right now, unless, of course, I've decided to advertise on other shows, and I don't think that happened. I wanted to tell you guys about the Year One download set, available at MikeSchmidtComedy.com. 52 episodes of the 40-Year-Old Boy. It's got all the new artwork and theme music tied in, and it's got my liner notes for every single episode. It's got, I'll tell you about the original music, the titles and running times, ramblings about the episodes themselves. So go ahead and pick up the 40-Year-Old Boy Year One box set at MikeSchmidtComedy.com. The 40-Year-Old Boy Year One. 52 episodes, $25, one brutally funny podcast.
Not again! The plaintive wail rises to the heavens. Not again! Lord, why have you forsaken us? Those guys still work there, too. That's the best part. 10 years later, they still own that 7-Eleven. All right. No one cares. Hey, so, I've been remiss the last few weeks, and then I have not plugged the Monday Night Tease, which is Lily Von Stupp's famous burlesque show, every Monday night at the 3 clubs on Santa Monica and Vine at 10 o'clock.
Yes.
Yes. And who's appearing this week?
This is the Muppet Show. Yay!
Oh, the Muppet Show. I was a part of the Muppet Show last year. This year I was not asked, but that's fine.
Bullshit.
I'm teasing. I turned it down. But this year, the Muppet Show, good Lord, enough. You don't have to get that mad. I've made Lily mad. Not again! No, so the Muppet Show is this week. Go check that out. Is it? Do you have a flyer with all the people who are coming and doing stuff?
The same people from last time.
Oh, cool. So it'll be, is it also a birthday extravaganza? No, just a Muppet Show. So go see Dizzy Von Dam, Vixen Violette, Scarlet Letter, Lux Lacroix will be there, Vita Vavoom. I think an Anastasia Von Teaserhausen will be in the house. Isabella Starr, our friend Lily Von Stupp will be there. Are you dancing? But you'll be there. Will you be dressed as Scooter from the Muppets? So go check out the Muppet Show at the 3 clubs on Santa Monica and Vine. It is the Monday Night Tease this Monday. That's the 13th. I don't know. I made up a date arbitrarily in my head. I don't know what it is. Oh, today's the 13th. All right, so then that makes it at the 18th, the 16th. All right.
Today's the 11th. It's the 16th.
Okay, so that is Monday the 16th. Go check out the Muppet Show at the Monday Night Tease. And check out every Monday Night Tease every Monday night at the Santa Monica and Vine 3 clubs. If you sign up and you become your friend, you will send. They can get a flyer on Facebook. Is that how it works? Yes. And then with the flyer, it is half price.
No, just a discount.
Okay, there's a discount. So make sure you guys go ahead and be her friend on Facebook, and then she'll send out an email blast, which I referred to last week because apparently I'm 11 years old. So she will send those out. And you guys, that'll be fantastic. So go ahead and be her friend and go to that. And I'll be there. I won't be there. I had to turn it down, unfortunately, because I did it last year, and it was fun. It was really great, and the show was great. But this year it would have been different because she was going to team me up with somebody who I don't know.
Yeah.
And I don't know that person, and so I would look, folks. I don't want to be outshined. I guess that's what I'm saying. I didn't want to go there and be in danger because I would have just clammed up the whole show because I would have been with some incredibly funny person who would have been funny every time they opened their mouth, and I can't compete with that. So I would have had to just sit there with my microphone off and nod. That would have been terrible. Nobody wants that. So go and see who they've come up with to replace me as even much funnier. Someone who's 10 times as funny and certainly 10 times more Muppety because I'm not Muppety at all. Because Muppets look a certain distinct way. I'm way too I'm too gigantic to be a Muppet. Although I'm not as fat as I used to be, as indicated by my Facebook page, folks, which someone has gone ahead and put up a still from the Malcolm in the Middle that I did a few years back when I was I don't think it was even my heaviest, 500 pounds. I got a great picture of me with when we were doing Funny Money, and it's me and this a girl who was a good friend. I'm not going to say her name, but she's written a book. Maybe I'll give no, I can't. Whatever. She's really nice, but if I put up the picture, I'll put up her name and maybe a link to her website and go buy her book because she wrote a novel. It's a young adult novel. So you're all young adults, right? Well, you're young and you're adults. So combine them, maybe you'll enjoy her novel. But she was really cool. But there's a picture of me with her at the bar, and we're throwing up gang signs to be ridiculous. And you can't even see her. I mean, I look like I'm so fat it looks like somebody drew me into this photo. That's how crazy huge I am. I'm sorry, my voice is shot from this show. That's weird. How did my voice just disappear? But anyway, so yeah, I'm go to my Facebook page and see my fat head from Malcolm in the Middle. And I will be honest, when I first saw it, I'm like, dudes, I'm not that fat anymore. But then part of me also went, yay, I get another $26. Because as long as that Malcolm in the Middle showed somewhere, boom, hello, syndication money comes rolling my way. That's a little known fact, folks. Just this week, I was very proud of the fact that I wound up getting a check from a show called The Jersey, which I filmed right when I came to Los Angeles. And again, I was a crazy fan with a painted face. Of course I was. That's what I've cornered the market on that, folks. But that show's been running in syndication. Now I think it's on airplanes. It's all whatever. But the point is, I finally got the check that all actors dream of. I got a check for 4 cents. Very excited. So that's on my fridge now. Because my buddy Chip Chinnery, he has a check for like 11 cents on his fridge. But now I top him. I've got a 4-cent check. So take that. Double C, CC. That's not mine. That's him. That's all of us. We all call him that. C, CC. All right, never mind. So go to the Muppet Show. What the hell was I saying? I don't remember. And talking about my fat head. I was talking about that. I don't know. I'm throwing, folks. I was watching the Fedor fight. Speaking of fat, everybody's telling me, they're like, how can that fat guy be so devastating in the UFC? First of all, he's not in the UFC. He fights for Strikeforce, but nobody cares. It's mixed martial arts. But I'm watching Fedor at the house, and I got nobody to watch this with, so I make my wife come in and watch Fedor. And I'm like, you have to watch this. It's like he's the best fighter in the world, and the best part is he fought in Chicago, and he's Russian, so it's like all these Eastern, because they have a real big Polish community, and they all came out with the flags. They were going crazy. It was a fucking great atmosphere. And then Fedor, he fought Brett Rogers in a really exciting first round, but then in the second round, Fedor throws this punch. Fedor Emelianenko, by the way, if you don't know who I'm talking about, go Google him. Go Google Fedor and watch Kevin Randleman drop him on his head, and then he still fucking armbars Randleman and kills him. I mean, he's like a cyborg, and the thing is, he's the best fighter in the world, and he's Russian, so he fights Brett Rogers. In the first round, Brett Rogers hits him with a left to the face, and he breaks Fedor's nose immediately, like 10 seconds in, and you just see blood, and it was just like Rocky, because I wanted to go, the Russian is cut! I mean, because everybody thought that Fedor was just going to dominate this guy, and he starts bleeding immediately, so the first round was great, but in the second round, Brett Rogers gasses, and Fedor throws this right hand, and they're fighting in Chicago. This right hand, I think, came from Indianapolis. It was the craziest fucking, and it hits Brett Rogers in the head, and it makes the sound like if you put a cherry bomb underwater. You know that sound? Just like that. I can't even, it sounded like you dropped a cantaloupe from a 8th story building. I mean, it was just this huge noise, and then Brett Rogers goes out. So I make Karen watch it. I'm like, dude, he's the most exciting fighter in the world. You got to check it out. And so she watches it very patiently, very nicely. She sits there and watches Fedor get his nose broken and then destroy Brett Rogers. And I'm like, oh, that was great. She's like, yeah, that's great, honey. So I go over to my desk, and she's watching Entertainment Tonight after that. And Entertainment Tonight, they're interviewing John Gosselin from John and Kate and his new girlfriend, Hallie or Haley, I don't know who the fuck it is. And they're talking about how they might break up. And Mary Hart's like, they might break up right here on camera. And she's like, well, I don't know. I love him. And he goes, well, she says I'm abusive. And they're talking back and forth. And then she's like, John's like, I just want to be alone. I'm going to be alone on Thanksgiving. And she goes, my family would never let him be alone on Thanksgiving in his own apartment. So he's going to come over to our house for Thanksgiving. And he goes, I don't know. And they're having this argument. And then it goes to break, and then they come back, and Willie Ames is on, and I guess Willie Ames is broke, and he's doing a show called Broke and Famous. They said he was almost homeless, and then it made me think, I'm like, was that Willie Ames outside the 7-Eleven that I saw, who came over and shook my hand? I mean, it didn't look familiar, but so on Entertainment Tonight, they're talking about Willie Ames, and I look at her and I go, how can you watch this garbage? And she goes, what do you mean? And I go, this is horrible. It's like, literally, this is high school on television. That's all this is. It's high school. They're arguing about whether they're going to break up, and he's sad, and he might get, it's terrible. And then it dawned on me, Entertainment Tonight that's like the UFC for ladies. Like, I made her sit through and watch fights with me, and she didn't give two shits about the fight. I mean, I know she didn't, but she did it to be nice and pleasant. And yet I'm giving her grief for watching John Gosselin when it basically, all that is the UFC for ladies. That's all. Entertainment Tonight is the UFC for girls. And I'm like, well, fuck, I can't argue with her anymore. I mean, I said, you know what, honey, enjoy it. Go ahead and watch it, because I made you watch my fight. I guess this is like the equivalent of you having to sit through a fight. I have to sit through Willie Ames talking about being broke, which it's so ludicrous. He's like, he lost all this money, and now it turns out they made him he gave him a financial advisor, and he said, you have to turn your life around in a week. Really? This guy's like a 45-year-old dude who's ruined his life and spent all his money, and now you're giving him a week? Oh, and you're going to film it for TV? Well, I'm sure that's going to pay off really well. And then they give him a job, and then at the end of the week, they give him a check for $25,000, and he has a garage sale, and he earns $5,000. Dude, when was the last time you went to a garage sale, and you thought anything there was worth paying for, let alone you thought that at the end of it, they would have $5,000? So the whole thing was fixed for television, but then at the end of it, they say that he's now in classes, and he's 2 hours short of getting a degree as a financial advisor. Are you fucking kidding me? You just spent an hour telling me that this guy can't get his shit together. He's lost millions of dollars. And a couple of years ago, he was dressed as Bible man and telling people that you got to worship the Lord. And now what? He's sleeping in carports, and he's got a bad mustache. And then you give him 25. It made no fucking sense. God damn it, Hollywood is fucking upside down. How do I fucking get nothing? Yet Willie Ames keeps getting chance after chance after motherfucking chance. Seriously? Let him sleep in a carport for a few years, and then maybe we can go ahead and look at him. Don't tell me he was sad for a week and he didn't have any money. I don't want to fucking hear that Willie Ames doesn't have any money. Guess what? None of us have any fucking money. If you had money and you lost it, fuck you from the people who didn't ever have money, okay? Take that, because nobody cares about you and your problems. Go sleep in a carport, go shake hands inside of a fucking 7-Eleven, and maybe somebody will buy you some fucking taquitos. You know what? Maybe Grant Goodeve will show up, or Dick Van Patten will show up. Hey, Dick Van Patten's got a dog food company. Maybe he can go ahead and give you a job. Fuck. Maybe he can do some dog food. I'm a dick, folks. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm a decent guy because I am a jerk. And I'm not a jerk. Man, I'm an awful guy. I'm not an awful guy. I am not a good guy. But I don't think I'm a bad person overall. So, and go ahead and by all means judge that. I'm kind of a jag-off. I got no future. What am I talking about? But I am a jag-off. And I'm not a jerk. I'm a nice guy. It's just, I guess I have jerky tendencies. I've done so much ridiculous stuff, and then I wonder afterwards, I'm like, man, how come I don't hang out with anybody? Here's why, because you're a dick. You're finished. You're finished. You're finished. You're finished. You're finished. You're finished. You're finished.